Hello and a very, very warm welcome to today's episode of the Virtuous Women Show. Thank you so much for tuning in and for always being a faithful member of the Virtuous Women Show. I am your host, as always, Sheila Juma, and I'm very delighted to be hosting this show today. Today we have an amazing show lined up for you, so you don't want to miss this. If you're watching us for the first time, thank you so much for tuning in. I know that you will not be disappointed, and this show will make you want to come back for more. So if you're watching us online, go ahead and share the link to your friends, share it on your platforms, and make sure that other people are being blessed just as you are being blessed. Today we have an amazing topic. We will be talking about raising your standards in life. What does that look like? What does that mean? Could you be living a mediocre life and you don't know it? So with us on set, we have Mrs. Nyariki. I did not want to butcher that name, so she will tell me if I have said it correctly. We have her on set today. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
We are delighted to have you. So kindly tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Eveline Juguna of Mrs. Nyariki. I'm a change agent, a transformation coach, a speaker, a wife, and a mother.
Wow. You said a transformation
Coach.
What is that?
As a transformation coach, I work with clients to support them to achieve bigger things in their lives.
Thank you so much for coming, Mrs. Nyariki. So we're talking about raising your standards. I don't know if we can say that there's a definition to what standards are, but I think we can start from the opposite of what high standards are, which is a mediocre life. Okay, so what are the signs of someone who is living a mediocre life?
No, when we talk about mediocrity or living a mediocre life, we don't look at it in general. We look at it as an individual, because what is mediocre to one person is not mediocre to another. It all goes to the talents and resources available to another. So by definition, when you say a mediocre life, it's that life that is not good enough, and it is not good enough to an individual. So looking at it, we would say the general characteristic of a mediocre life to anybody now would be that you're not progressing in life. You're just there. You're not taking any risks. You're not adding value to yourself. You're not, even the value you're adding to others is more like on a plane. There's no increase.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. I like what you said, that it's different for each person. Mediocrity to me is not mediocrity to someone else. So based on the resources that I have, am I utilizing my resources properly? And to the extent where my life is lifted or elevated based on what is given to me. I like that. So is there someone who could be living a mediocre life and they just don't know it?
Yeah, it is very possible. If just to use an illustration of, we take two farmers. We have one farmer has like 10 acres of land, another one has 1,000, just 1 acre of land. If the farmer with 1 acre of land is tilling the whole land and getting products from it, he's doing well.
Yeah.
If the farmer with 10 acres is just doing 1 acre of land, when you look per acre, both of them are doing a single acre, but the one given 10 acres, his life is mediocre because he has opportunities to do more.
Yeah. I like it. I like it. That's a very good analogy, because it even ties to spiritual things, I believe. That, you know how the Bible says Jesus gave that parable of the 10 talents. 5 talents, 2 talents, 1 talent. And the one with 5 did more because he had more. And the Bible also says when you're given more, more is expected of you.
Sure.
So that's a really good analogy. Does exposure have to do with lack of exposure, have to do anything to do with lack of raising your standards or living a mediocre life? When you're not exposed to things, does that affect you in any way?
No. We look at exposure not in terms of maybe traveling in adventure, but we look at it in terms of how open is your mind. It is not geographical. It is mental, because you could be in a remote place, yet you are exposed and you're living the best life possible. You could be in the most urban place, technology advanced, but then you're doing nothing about it.
Yeah.
So how you run your life is just about your mental capacity. How exposed are you? How much value are you adding to yourself?
Yeah. And when it comes to mental capacity, what kind of mindset? Because life, I think, is driven a lot by the kinds of mindsets that people have. You know, the people with a poverty mindset, where even if they get $1 million, somehow they still have that poverty mindset, and that money will not necessarily help them. So what kind of mindset should you have to be able to raise your standards, or to stop living a mediocre life? What kind of mentality do you need to have?
To raise our standards, we first move to the first step of awareness, which is what you're asking concerning the mindset.
Right.
We have 3 mindsets. The first one, we call it the victim mindset. The second one is a hustler mindset. And the third is a master mindset.
Okay.
Just to explain what it is, the victim mindset is this person who blames everybody else for their trouble. I am here because my mother did not do this. I am here because it's raining. Pointing fingers all around. Then we have the hustler's mindset. That is a mindset that is forever struggling, forever trying. Then finally we have the master mindset, where somebody is thriving. It is not resource oriented, but the mindset you have dictates on how you'll do with what you are given. So as a victim, you cannot advance your life because you're looking out and pointing fingers
and blaming people.
Yeah, like in Kenya we would say ni gava. Wajafanya hii ni barabara. But now you move when you're shifting. So it depends with where somebody finds themselves in. Most people find themselves in the victim, like, okay, I'm not well to do because I was not taken to school.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things you can do irrespective of your education level.
Right.
Then there's a big group of us that are in the hustler mindset. That is that person who they don't know when it is enough. They're ever struggling. As you were saying, somebody could be having millions in the bank, but you meet them, they're working, you meet them, they cannot even feed a poor child because they're saying, I'm still looking for more.
Right.
Then we have the final mindset, which is the master mindset. It is where you come to be at peace with what you have. You come to be at peace with yourself and your efforts, and now you are like, yes, I'm thriving in this. And it's not a settled state, it's a state of progression.
Right.
It's a state of growth. So in the master kind of mindset, you're not just there seated that I've achieved this, but you're like, how can I better?
Yeah, there's always more.
Yeah, there's more for me and for the next person. It's also not oriented to just an individual. A hustler may be very individualized. The victim is looking out to others. The hustler is so into themselves, but the master is stretching a hand to the next person and even lifting them up.
Something you said makes me want to say that anyone who's living a mediocre life is living a stagnant life. They're not moving forward.
Largely.
I think one of the things that, based on what you're saying, one of the things that really is unfortunate that people go through is the fact that when you achieve something, you stay there. You don't imagine that there could be more. You don't use that as a stepping stone. You don't use that milestone as a stepping stone to reach higher. You'll achieve something, you feel like you're the one, and you stay there and your life stops moving. So even that person, after achieving something maybe great, could start living a mediocre life because they're not advancing.
Yes.
Awesome.
We call it settling. Using examples. I love using examples to illustrate the hit better. Look at this musician who produces one song. It hits, then stops there. Yes, they have the potential to do more. They stop there, and sometimes they even start calling themselves by the name of that song that hits. So that is, at that point when that person settled, mediocrity started.
Wow, and we call them one-hit wonders. You wonder, where did they go? It's because they just settled. Now, you mentioned something to do with the steps of raising your standards, and you said number 1 is awareness. So could you take us through the steps?
So for you to be able to go somewhere, you have to define the direction. And for you to define that direction is where we're talking about awareness. In the Bible, God says that people without a vision, they perish. So you have to know, like in the awareness, we start with identity. Who am I? What am I about? What is it that I want to achieve? What are my values and what value do I hold? Once you're able to define that, then you can be able to say that, yes, I want to move from point A to point B. And to get there, this is what I have. Then you start taking those daily steps. When you talk of daily steps, they are what we call habits. What habits are you having? And they have to be consistent. I don't wake up today at 6, then tomorrow I'm waking up at 8. No. If I said for me to achieve a certain goal, I need to be waking up at this time every day, irrespective of how I feel. I consistently do it. So
consistency is key in raising your standards.
Yeah, so that is one. Awareness, then it comes with consistency. Then we have accountability.
Okay.
Sometimes it's difficult to do things all by yourself. But when you pull in the accountability, which could be somebody else, where I tell you, if I don't achieve this at this time, there are certain consequences to it. Look at the way our education system previously was before the introduction of the CBC. If you don't achieve a certain mark, you're not going to national school. You're not going to this county school. So that is accountability kind of a thing, whereby now you strive. And there is someone there, like a hawk watching on you, not so much pressing, but you feel obliged to do that which you said. So that way you are able to shift from one level to another. Next.
All right, so awareness, with that comes consistency, knowing the direction you're going to and what steps you need to take daily and what habits you need to do daily to achieve that, and then accountability. These three things you say will help raise your standards and to achieve more. All right, so what is it that makes people settle for less?
Now, it's easier to go downstream than to go up a hill. So basically, the reason we settle for less is because it's comfortable to do it, and because of fear. There's always that fear of, call it the fear of the unknown. And in common language, watasema nini? So you may be wanting to take a risk, but if you're so much inclined in what will they say, how will I look, then you don't take that step. So fear holds you back. Then now the other one, just being comfortable. I have shelter, I have food, I have nice clothes on. I'm better than so and so. Then you sit there and you just become.
Right. Now you've mentioned something about risks. I know very many people who do not like to take risks. I know very many people who are like, but it's a risk. I don't, I may lose, I may do, this may happen, that may happen. Is there a certain risk that we should not take? Everyone should just take risks? Is that what you are saying? Is there a way we can know this is the kind of risk that will benefit my life? And this risk, I can maybe take some more time, learn, research, and then take that risk.
That takes us back to awareness. And the journey of life being very individual, because your risks are not my risks. So you go back to the awareness and you know, I can do this, I can do that. So then we come in with the support systems. When you're taking risks, we don't just go blindly, because if you go blindly, sometimes it hits hard. You look at your support system that, yes, if I take risk, count it in. This can happen, this can happen. Suppose the worst happens, what do I fall back to? I may not have a person to fall back to, but I have God to fall back to. I have my faith to fall back to. So I know I'll take this, it may succeed. If it doesn't, God got me. And you move on.
How, when someone takes a risk and then now they fail, how does someone handle failure? Because a lot of people will wallow in that failure, in that the fact that they took a risk and then they failed. How does someone handle failure so that it doesn't overcome them and they're able to move forward?
Life is just about taking the next step. You just have to rise and try again, because there's no surety in anything. Even a simple thing as you coming from your home to this place, that's a risk. There's a lot of accidents happening. There's a lot. So however the situation was, you just need to rise up and
move on.
You cannot sit there. Maybe take the lessons out of it. Don't be bitter, become better. Go on.
Don't be bitter, become better. It should be on t-shirts. and we sail from the Virtuous Woman Show. Do not become bitter, but become better. Amazing. Now, when we mention raising standards, a lot of people, and especially a lot of single people, they go to the idea of relationships. Now, when it comes to relationships, because this is a women's show, we will talk to women, okay? When someone is wanting to get into a relationship, of course, kuna wale wako na list. I want this in a man, I want this in a man. Is it okay? Is it good? Is it beneficial for someone to have a list for themselves of what they want in a partner?
That's a very interesting and controversial area.
Topic, yeah.
Because and most times when like women, we are sitting down and saying the list, we have this bucket list, tick tick tick, tall hat, that's financially stable. Now what we're doing, we are projecting what we want from the other person.
Right.
What about you? When we talk about raising standards, it is you raise your standard. You attract who you are, you attract what you are.
Wow.
So I may have this list, I want a person driving a V8, but am I V8 worthy?
Yes, material. Are you V8 material?
Your own value. When I raise my value, the V8 will come.
Wow.
The Bible talks about blessing pursuing the rushes. It doesn't talk about the rushes going after the blessing. It is the same concept in relationship, whether in marriage, whether single, whatever stage. As a woman, raise your personal value. What are you doing with your time? What are you doing with yourself? If you can't buy yourself a good shoe, how else do you expect him to buy you? So take the first step, work, buy yourself one, be in that league. Then you'll attract that.
I like that. I've actually never had anyone who said that or brought it out in that way or that perspective, that when you have a list, you are projecting what you want the other person to be. But have you looked at yourself? I really like that. I think that is very profound and very informative. So if you're there and you're a lady, are you V8 material? Are you 6-figure salary material yourself? You know, because I think I've seen a lot of, and there are a lot of these programs on TV where the ladies are like, oh, I want, but they themselves ni ata eyebrow hajui kuchora. You can imagine. Sasa nataka mtu akona suti na anyway, I really like that. Thank you for bringing that across very plainly and very clearly. Now, when you raise your standard, like you have said, as a woman, you raise your standard. There's that notion that women who have high standards, or they are, you know, all that in the career world or whatever world they are in, such women are hard to pursue by men. Men say, oh, huyo hapana, huyo simwende, ni mgumu, or ako uko juu sana. Is there anything you can tell to young women concerning that?
Now, first of all, it's a fallacy to say that because you have raised your standard, because you're worthy, that there aren't men out there who can match that. They are there. But something is missing in the whole thing, and that is balance. Are you balanced? Are you all about the financial muscle you have? Do you have some personality inside there? Because when women are saying that there is no man for me, they are looking at it. There is no man for me because I'm living in this house. There's no man for me because I'm driving this car. There's no man for me because I hold this 6-figure job. It's not just about the financial element. As human beings, we are complete. How is your personality? Do you say thank you? Do you say please? Or do you walk in your 2 heels like on a high horse?
Right.
How are you presenting yourself? And that is key, because when you project out hostility, because that is hostility, that you just have this one card, money card, it is not enough. You have to have you, and the personality is you. That takes us back to the Bible. The godly woman, what does she do? How does she look like? How does she talk? The Bible says that instead of even living with an angry woman, the man would rather live on rooftop. So are you that angry woman inside a bungalow? If you're that, then the men are on the rooftop.
Wow. Profound. My goodness, it's on fire over here. At least I am feeling very enlightened right now. So as a woman, it's not bad to raise your standards. In fact, it's advisable to raise your standards, but carry yourself well. Yes. Carry yourself with humility and with dignity, because you attract, even when people are attracted to you, they approach you based on how you are able to welcome them.
Yes.
Awesome. Sawa sawa. Now, when you raise your standards, because this is our topic today, there are people who will feel, they get rigid. They feel, that is not what I expect, or that is not what I want for myself. Is there a point at any time in your life where you should be like, okay, let me be flexible about this one thing. Maybe it's not exactly what I want for now, but for now I will receive this. Is there necessity for flexibility in your life?
Yeah, life is about being flexible. But even in the flexibility, there are things we don't compromise on, like what are your values? Their values. In our world today, women are talking about not being flexible. And if you listen to that talk, it's largely monetary.
Right.
And money can be here today, money ain't here tomorrow. But values, we can go and shop for them, however much we have. So when you have your values in place, they become the deciding factor. And don't compromise on your values. You compromise on them, then tomorrow, premium tears.
Premium tears.
Stick on your values, and you'll just get it right. With values, you get it right.
Right. With values, you get it right. And so when it comes to you yourself, you said you're a coach. Yes. How do you help people when they come to you, when they say they want to raise their standards, whether it's career-wise or just generally in life? For the young woman who's watching, how would you advise them to raise their standards and their mentality to shift so that they can have a better life?
It just goes back to the beginning of our conversation, awareness. We take the step. Do you know you? Once you know you, a lot of answers are in you. Because as a coach, I don't carry the answers for you. I meet you, I meet the next and the next, but I bring out the you. And once you meet you, the world explodes.
Yeah. Amen. When it comes to accountability, because that's a point that you mentioned, there is an importance to mentorship and to people who are where you want to go. For example, as a singer, I will look up to someone who has gone ahead of me and has achieved the results that I want to achieve. What is the importance of getting such a person in your life?
Having a mentor or having a coach is important. They have lived the life you want to live. They have walked that path. It's like buying ears. The reason we pay for certain things, especially in the service industry, I'm buying your experience. I don't have to walk the journey. I don't have to go through that hole. That's what a mentor does. It's like an acceleration lane. When you go, there's an escalator. So when you're walking with a mentor, you're standing on the escalator. Yes, you're going up, but you're not the one doing the work.
You're not taking the steps, like the physical work.
So there are things you have to do, and I'm telling you, to be a mentee is work in itself, because you have to be humble enough, you have to be willing to learn, you have to be open to learn, you have to be accountable and consistent again, because somebody cannot take their time and be with you, then you're not there.
Yeah.
So a lot goes into it, but it buys you the time. It shifts you.
I like what you said, that you have to be teachable and to be humble, because a lot of people would approach someone who they would like them to mentor them, and they don't even know what mentorship means. Most of the time, wanataka tu kupatiwa pesa, or they think it's just give me quick solutions so that I can get to where you are, but they don't realize there's process. There's process to get to where they are. What would you say to such a person?
I'm liking it, because there's a difference between a mentor and a sponsor. And most times we're getting sponsors. Most times, if it's a younger person coming in for mentorship, what they're looking for is the perks, the platform, not the mentorship. So what they're looking for is a sponsorship. Take me here, do this for me. That is not what mentorship is. Mentorship is work, and sometimes it's grueling. If you listen to some of these people, I like what Joshua Selman says, when he says that some of the graces he holds, he went and worked. He talks certain of a crusade he went, and he had to become an usher cleaning the chairs to be able to access it. It is the same. For a mentor, you're taking their time and you ain't paying for it. You have to do something.
Yeah.
And the something you have to do is something of value to them, and it is not monetary. And giving yourself out is the ultimate prize. Like for our Christian faith, Christ didn't give us bags of money. He gave out his life. So in mentorship, it is you giving out you into the process of learning.
Yeah, because there's work.
Yes.
There's work to get to where you want to be. Even as you raise your standards, there's work to be done. And so our time is up, but I would like for you to give us your parting shot. What would you like to say to people who are watching?
There's this quote I like by Lisa Nicole. She says that you're your own rescue. You don't sit back and wait for someone to come rescue you. Start today. Take that small step. Do it yourself. Then along the way, it will open up. Thank you.
Amen. Take that first step. You know, actually, there's something that I learned maybe a few years ago. The best way to start is to start. Make that first call. That first call that you need to make for your project or whatever you're doing, start. And I think that's what I have learned in this this show today. And so thank you so much for coming and for pouring out the knowledge that you have with us. We are really grateful.
Thank you.
And to our viewers, I'm sure that you have been able to learn, taking the steps to raising your standards. Number one, awareness. Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of what you have around you. Make sure that you're utilizing what you have around you. Number two, consistency. You have to break some habits and you have to cultivate some other habits in their stead so that you can have consistency in your life to get to where you are going, okay? So I'm very grateful for coming, for tuning in to our show today. I'm sure it has been a blessing. I will see you same time, same place next time. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.
She's a virtuous woman.